this is where the story really starts to get exciting. I was making fudge at this monastery for about 8 months. You could imagine we were just like these dwarves out in the forest, singing all the day long as the birds were chirping, and all was joyful, but not exactly. So you do learn a lot of lessons while doing this. Firstly, that monks are humans as well. They might be healthier because they don't eat all the processed food we eat. They might look younger because they're singing. That's actually the key to youth. I talked about that in another video, how singing keeps people young. And so monks are normal people. Why is that something that stood out to me? Well, because you have all these false impressions. I had those same impressions. You do have all these false expectations when you hear about a job so just unusual. There's not many people that are actually working at places like these, and so I think you really quickly set into this mode where you are really highly expecting these people to be saints, like you're going to be working with saints, already saints. And so that's not exactly the case. Some monks might have more of a temper, or some monks might be more quieter. They might not be as talkative to you, and so you might think that they don't like you or whatnot. Just really those very human emotions. You do really learn to have a greater sense of mercy, a greater sense of understanding. Just the monks, how they are a community, how that community is in fact more important than the individual who might have their individual defects, but when they come together, they can really maintain and support and grow into something, into people that are better. Someone else once told me, the religious life is like throwing a bunch of rocks into a bucket and trying to smooth them out, shaking the bucket to smooth them out. So you're putting all these different people with different personalities together, and you're calling them brothers. And so you can imagine that it's not the easiest process. It's painful. You imagine those rocks scraping up against one another, but by the end, you hopefully smooth them out. And so that's what you get to see firsthand. You get to see that very firsthand. And I will talk about probably the most important lesson in another video. So do subscribe, do stay tuned to this channel. You'll see that video soon. But to go on to the next lesson. First lesson, monks are real people. Second lesson, monks can reflect Jesus Christ. There was an older monk who was giving a presentation during one of the retreats they have. They have retreats all the time, but I was on retreat at that time, and I went to his presentation, and he said something I still remember to this day. It was just last week. I was sitting in bed in the morning. I was thinking about what he said, just this one line. Remember this very old monk who had a lot of experience in his life, and he was talking about maybe outreach. What if someone asked you, where is God? Where is Jesus Christ? Where is He in the world today during suffering, during all of these wars and all of this pain? Where is Jesus Christ? Who is He? What is He like? And so this old monk pointed out himself. He said, when someone asks you, where is Jesus Christ? How do I know Jesus Christ? He said, you should be able to tell that person, look at me, I am representing Jesus. I am acting as a face of Him because I have imitated His life so carefully. And he was saying that that's the example that Christians should be able to show other people. They shouldn't tell them that. They should show them that their lives are reflections of the gospel, of Jesus Himself. And so that was very, very opening for me, just hearing that, to think about how you can imitate Christ for others. And so again, this monastery experience was a lot of preparation. Me doing those jobs that the world might scoff at. Oh, making fudge. What a waste of time. Or they might scoff at the monks, I've heard it. Oh, these monks are wasting their lives. They should be out helping the poor in the inner cities. They should be on the ground helping those people, or why don't they have something better to do, like be a teacher, be a doctor, be a construction worker, anything productive to society. And so they're just not understanding the power of prayer, because if you believe in prayer, all of this makes sense, and it makes sense in a beautiful way. So lastly, the final lesson I learned at the monastery. And so I put a lot of emphasis there. I'm actually thinking of these lessons as I record this video. So I have to own up to this lesson now. So let me think just for a moment. What is the biggest lesson I can take away? Well, St. Augustine comes to mind. St. Augustine said, if we could know God, we as physical creatures, if we could know God without the world, God would not have created the world. He would have not created the world as he did. And so that really just opens up this entire perspective. Why did God create the world? And how can the world help me know God? And so that opened up really this entire thought process. The world and all of these lessons it has to teach me are to teach me about God. As I'm sitting here in this small room by a 200-degree kettle, fudge is shooting out of that kettle onto the floor, hitting me in the arm, leaving a burn mark on my arm, and in my white fudge uniform, making fudge alongside a 70-year-old monk. The room is scorching hot, so I'm just imagining that scene there, but it was all a very joyful time. But there's sometimes you think, well, I could be doing something better. But then you think, well, God placed me in this moment at this time. I was created for this time, to do this job, to learn about God by making fudge, to learn discipline, or to learn to build up that interior life, to learn how to pray unceasingly while working. Fudge making is a job where you're able to do that, pray a lot. So some of the holiest people in the world are probably fudge makers or monks. So those things and all of these lessons I've talked about are what I learned while working at this Trappist monastery. Ultimately learning faith.